Holy crap, guys. With this latest DCS World update, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to the devs over at Ugra Media, the developers of the DCS Syria Map, cause Syria just keeps on getting better and better with time. So as I'm sure you guys are all well aware of, I'm Spud, as always, and the DCS Syria Map for a long time now has really held the title of crown jewel of DCS World modules, both in my and many others' opinions. Whenever somebody new gets into DCS, the default piece of advice almost everyone gives them is to buy your favorite jet and the Syria map. And those two purchases usually gives the new DCS player hundreds of hours of gameplay and fun. However, one huge criticism I have always had for the Syria map, from the very first day it was released to the public, was the fact that Israel felt arbitrarily cut off, with the only Israeli Air Force base on the map being Ramat David. And this felt a little bit off because basically the largest amount of aerial combat that has ever occurred over Syria really very much involved the Israelis. And while Ramat David factored heavily into the Arab-Israeli wars from the inception of the State of Israel, when the Royal Air Force handed over control of the base to the Haganah, it is certainly not the only air base on the front lines of the Six-Day War, the Yom Kippur War, and the 1982 Lebanon War, among others. But with this latest update to DCS and the Syria map, we now have 4 new extremely important and relevant air bases added to the map: Ben Gurion International Airport, Tel Nof Air Base, the home of the IAF's F-15A, B, C, and D Baz and Akef fleet, Hatzor Air Base, an important training base, and the field a defecting Iraqi MiG-21 pilot landed at, as well as Palmachim Air Base, one of the IAF's largest rotary wing and UAV bases. These new additions, along with the additions of airfields further south in Jordan recently added to the map, keep increasing the value of what was already the best map in DCS World by a long shot. And it's very interesting, in my opinion, to see the Syria and Sinai map overlap more and more, as we can see the pretty stark difference in art styles and interpretations of the topography of the two developers Ugra Media and Onritech. As we fly over these airfields here, we can really see the love put into these airfields by Ugra Media's devs, with very detailed scenes laid out around the airbases and various spawn points, making the map feel far more alive and lived in. And this, paired with some hand placing of aircraft and personnel in the mission editor, can make for some awesome scenes for screenshots and immersion for players. This practice was really pioneered by Onritech on the Sinai map, and the addition of these scenes to Syria and the overlap between the maps makes me think there's some sort of rivalry between the devs and a drive to make these maps as fantastic as possible, which is always a wonderful thing for the player and the consumer. And while I am extremely excited by these recent additions to the Syria map, these airfields still need a bit of work. The hardened shelters at Tel Nof and Hatzor seem to be copied and pasted from the other airfields on the map, and do not conform to the very unique style of Israeli hardened shelters modeled on the Sinai map. This issue is also compounded by the lack of spawn points for aircraft inside certain shelters on these maps that are available on the Sinai map. However, this can be overcome using very careful placement of aircraft set to spawn on the ground rather than in a particular spawn point. Just ensure that you have the aircraft centered up in the shelter to avoid glitches and explosions on players spawning into these slots. I'm sure that Ugra Media are planning on doing another pass on these bases, and I do hope that we can get some additional spawn points and more true-to-life styled shelters on these airfields. However, I really can't complain too much, as this is a free upgrade to the map and definitely increases the value of the map for existing customers, and gives even more bang for the buck for anyone who has not yet bought Syria or are new to DCS World entirely. Like I said earlier, I find it really cool and interesting to get a really good comparison between the art styles between the two devs, in the same way that I find the difference in art styles between, say, the Heapler F14 and F4 and the Eagle Dynamics created FA18 and F16 to be very interesting and compelling, and really shows that a developer's style can show through inside the simulator. For the future here, I hope that one day, somehow, some way, ED or these devs can link these two maps together. And if that is out of the question, which I believe is pretty much the case, I really hope we get to see Ugra Media keep marching the map south to the Negev, so that all Israeli air bases can be used to represent the fight along the northern front with Syria and the western front with Egypt on the Sinai map. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll have a 1973 Yom Kippur campaign for the F4E built for both maps, with missions swapping back and forth between the maps to depict the epic struggle against overwhelming odds over the Sinai and the Golan Heights. Not to mention the fact that we can have F-15s over the Bekaa Valley flying from their true-to-life home base now. In conclusion, the map feels far more fleshed out to me now, and really corrects the glaring original sin of this map since its release a number of years ago now. So guys, enjoy this awesome new expansion to the DCS Syria map, and a big thank you to the devs at Ugra Media. You guys definitely rock. So fly safe out there guys, and enjoy this beautiful game. We'll see ya in the next one.